have a program. We are here celebrating the life of
Uncle Iggy.
name missing. And I think it's suiting because we all know him as something different, actually. Yeah, Uncle Iggy.
Yep.
We got
Yeah.
Papa. We got Dad. We got a bunch of titles. So, funny enough, that works. We're celebrating this wonderful man right here. On October 22nd. And moving on to join plenty of people that loved him as of June 27th. As you can tell probably from the programs, he loves sports. So he said for the first quarter of this basketball game, we got the game tip off here with our program. And our first quarter is going to be the reading of the obituary, which his daughter Donna is going to do.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, I am going to read this obituary with the glasses. Okay, here we go. All right. Lawrence Alfred Brown, also known as Iggy, Larry, Dad, Grandpa, Papa, and Uncle. He was born on October 22nd, 1931, in a house in Harlem. His mother's name was Hinterland, also known as Granny. She married her husband, Jesse Brown, who gave their children their nicknames. In total, there were 5 children: Jesse Jr., Hinterland, a.k.a. Buddy, Gloria, a.k.a. Spicky, Natalie, a.k.a. Puss, and of course, Iggy, who was my dad. All of them were very, very close. The original 5 Browns and their combined plethora of children remained and still is a very, very close family. Lawrence, who was my dad, he married my mom, Mary McCants, in 1950, and they moved to the Bronx, and they had 2 daughters, me, Donna, and Lauren, aka Tony, who is deceased. Okay, Lawrence Anthony, aka Tonia, and Danielle are the grandchildren. And to date, Iggy has 2 great-grandchildren, again, one from each grand, Asia and Reese, who's under the
Who's under the
piano
piano right now?
As a young graduate of Gompers High School, Lawrence started out in carpentry, and he helped build Sutton Place in Harlem. He was not only skilled with his hands, but he was also brilliant. Iggy graduated from multiple colleges with various degrees. In his 20s, Lawrence began a career with New York City Department of Corrections as an assistant deputy warden on Rikers Island. While holding the position, he not only touched many lives positively, but by pioneering the Get Straight program, he earned a lot of respect from all of his peers and the inmates. Lawrence was rewarded numerous times and was highly regarded by those in his company. Lawrence, Iggy, when he retired from his position at Rikers, he then went back to school again, and he opened his own brokerage firm as a realtor at NASCAR Realty, and he did that for many, many years. He retired from working in real estate because my mother gave him such a hard time and said, if you don't retire, I'm gonna spend all your money. Although officially he retired from working, both Lawrence and Mary were very active members of the Gunther Avenue Block Association. As a man, Lawrence enjoyed reading, handball, playing cards, horse racing, bowling, gardening, playing his numbers, traveling, and going to the casino, watching movies and sports. Iggy was the biggest fan of the movie King Kong, and he was mesmerized by any program about lions and big cats, and would defend the Yankees and the Knicks no matter what. He loved the cup of hot Ovaltine around 11 p.m. every night.
With a slice of cake.
Yes. Spoiled rotten, and was always dressed to the nines. Mr. Brown was never without his pressed white shirt, his tie, his cap, his vest, his sweater, and was well manicured, clean shaven, and he always smelled like aqua velvet. He was quiet, but consistently shared his knowledge and kindness with everyone. Lawrence was very dependable and openly expressed his love for his family and his friends. Lawrence's memory will be engraved in our minds and our hearts, and he showed all of us how to live and die with respect and dignity. May he rest in peace.
That was beautiful, Mom.
Thank you.
Second quarter, I said, we'll just do family and friends eulogies, and I said, I'll start out. We have a prayer card, and on the back of the prayer card, it was one that, it's kind of one of the sayings, it's not very religious, but it's definitely, it just kind of suits him, and I like the pen, so I picked this along with a couple things. It says, when I am gone, release me, let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You must not tie yourself to me with tears. Be happy that we had so many years. We had 91 years. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of good memories. I gave to you all my love. You can only guess how much you gave me in happiness. I thank you for all the love each of you have shown, but now it's time for me to travel alone. And he's not alone. And everybody in this room knows how not alone he is. Because somebody's playing Pekino right now and cheating.
Amen.
And it's probably on Spicky cheating. For all of us that know. And whatnot, that they're in the middle of something. So I take that with travel. He might travel alone, but he definitely isn't alone. So grieve a while for me. If grieve you must, then let your grief be comforted by trust. I will not be far away, for life goes on. So if you need me, call and I will come. Though you can't see or touch me, I'll be near. And if you listen with your heart, you will hear. All of my love around you, soft and clear. Then when you must come this way alone, I will greet you with a smile and welcome home. And that's just kind of how he is.
Amen.
I love that.
Quiet, but always had that smile on his face. You never heard him. You never heard him at all. But I think everybody in here can say, Uncle Iggy told me this, or Mr. Brown taught me that, or Lawrence did X, Y, and Z, and you have your own stories, and you have your own quiet moments with him. So I thought this fit him because he would be that quiet smile that would just have that welcome home written on his face when you see him every single time you see him. So I picked that one for the prayer card. It's not really a prayer, but I think it suits him. I think it suits him well. So, if anybody else that would like to speak, I'm just pass the mic around, like we've done before. No, Tonio's gonna go last. Tonio got some stuff to say, but family, anybody that knew Mr. Brown want to say anything?
You want to say something? Hey, my name is Johnny. Johnny Perry. Iggy, Mary, the whole family. We live right in the same neighborhood, very close to each other. I might have been about 13 when we first met. That's right. And every weekend, Friday, Saturday, she mentioned Pekino. What was that? They were playing Pinochle. They played Pinochle every weekend. I come in, Johnny, is that you? Would you? Oh boy! And like they said, Iggy would always give you that kind of information that stuck with you all your life, you know. And always had the utmost respect for him. Sports, we talk sports. Yeah. He taught me a lot about Negro baseball, Negro leagues, which I wasn't very familiar with at the time, which really touched me. And I remember correction officer, then we started calling him captain. Then he went to deputy warden. But very inspirational. He was a very inspirational individual and will be missed. Definitely will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything?
So what you can say?
I was gonna say, don't be shy, because everybody in here knew Uncle Iggy. I'm surprised y'all were quiet.
I think they're collecting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to give time, you know, all the cousins, the real cousin, because I can refer to myself as a faux cousin, kind of sort of. But my name is Stephanie DeGenest. It wasn't always DeGenest, it was Smith growing up. So of course our families had to be cool together because we had the Smiths and the Browns. And basically, I'm gonna get to, I mean, look at that. All right, so I'm coming over here. So anyway, you know, whether it was dance at school that Mommy and Aunt Mary met, I don't know. But our families have been together for over 60 years. And because my mom just turned 92, she's in a nursing home, and we would call Uncle Iggy and they would talk, and so, and I knew it was coming, and I said, Mommy, I'm going to New York. Now, meanwhile, I visit my mother every day. I said, Donna said I should come see Uncle Iggy. And I'm gonna see my Auntie Enid while I'm up there too. She goes, oh, okay. I'm not gonna make her sad. What's the sense? You know, what's the sense? But because I was preparing for her 92nd birthday and putting together a photo album, I do have pictures of Uncle Iggy with his signature cap, looking all sharp, the families together. But I also encountered the pictures of when we had our rollover car accident in 1963, and some of you all may remember that. Our two families, we going to Canada. I mean, we were like, this was so much fun. And on the way back from Canada, Uncle Iggy was driving. I remember exactly where everybody was seated in the car. I was right behind him. It was raining, it was pouring. The car went off, the side hit the soft shoulder, spun around twice, uprooted some trees. We ended up in water. All of us should have died. Every last one of us. When I looked at those pictures, I found the pictures.
We did too.
Okay, so you,
Recently, yeah.
all right, so you know.
We found it too, yeah.
Now, that was 1963. And I told Don, I said, could you imagine if any one of us had died, the whole trajectory of our lives would have been different. Then we come home on the Greyhound bus, because we ain't got no car to come home on. The window is falling out. Aunt Mary's holding the window all the way from upstairs. And you know us, we gonna laugh no matter what. They beat our behinds, because one time we ate up all the dessert when they went out. Now, Uncle Iggy never beat us, because he was always so quiet. But Aunt Mary snatch you in a minute, you know. So, you know, it is what it is. But when my dad passed away, Uncle Iggy became that surrogate for me. And he would always tell you he loved you. He goes, now I love you, Steph. And he would sometimes send me cards in his own handwriting. I said, you know, Uncle Iggy sent me this card, you know? And so my heart aches, it breaks, and yet I know he was struggling at the end. And we have to release them and let them go.
Yes, right.
But do we have memories? We have memories, and we thank God for those memories. He was just so special. That's all I can say, and we all feel that. So.
Thanks.
My name is Jenny. I'm a niece. And this is particularly hard for me, I suppose for all of us in this generation, because this is the last leaf on the tree that gave us life. And we will remember him. It makes us remember his siblings and their spouses. With us today.
Yeah.
And I can't really say any more except that we will continue the legacy of being close, doing the things that we need to do to support each other, whatever they may be.
You got on a shirt with everybody on it. Yeah. I was gonna say, for those of us that.
What's next?
Yeah.
Go ahead and model, Jeannie.
Like, go ahead, model. They have the shirt on, I mean, like, all the others know, but she has the shirt on that has the original 5 that were on it.
Yes.
And whatnot, and the spouses, so that was from like a family reunion. Yeah, whatever year was that?
2011.
Yeah, that was a while ago, but that definitely, that's the basis for all of it, yeah.
Hi, I'm Cheryl. Uncle Iggy was my father's.
You want to put that down. Just, you want to put that down.
My father was Uncle Iggy's only oldest brother. When Mr. Sky, after my father passed, he became my father. And every year, every time I was in New York, you know, even before then, go visit him, and I had to tell him, I said, you don't mind me calling you Dad, because they look like twins.
Too
And,
much alike.
Yeah, so every year up until last year, my birthday, he'd send birthday cards, Christmas cards, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, and I would do the same with him. And, you know, we did get a chance last July to sit down, have dinner, me and Donna, Uncle Iggy. I'd always make desserts, you know, sit there and watch the baseball games. And he never spoke above a whisper. That was Iggy, you know. I'm gonna miss him, but I know he's good.
He good.
And he was the last of our generation before us, and now we are where they are. And we'll carry on this legacy. All of us have had some really good times together, and we've gotten through the rough times. You know, like I said, Daddy is the last of the sisters and brothers, but there's a whole lot of cousins. We keep in contact, okay, with each other. It might not be every day, but we know how everybody's doing, and we got those bonds that will always be there, young and old. So now we're getting down to the great grandkids and stuff like that. We're not as young as we used to be, but we hang in there.
We're the elders now.
Yeah, so these young ones keep us going, and like I said, we all keep in contact. It might not be every day or every week, but we know how everybody's doing and what everybody is doing. And, you know, we're a very close family, and we have a lot of good neighbors that we've been knowing since I was the little one. And I'm kind of getting up there in age now, but everybody has been a real positive impact on our family, and a lot of close relationships, from neighbors to friends to associates, and he was always there. And he was always quiet, but you knew he was always there. You know, very supportive, and whatever anybody needed, he never asked a second question. He was just there. And that's the way Daddy was. My mom was the opposite. Kind of loud and rowdy. They say opposite attract.
I hear them say that about me and Chloe.
And my mom, they were together from
Yeah.
teenagers.
No, it is
Up
true.
until, you know, but, she was the wild one, and he was the cool one, and we all knew that. But whatever you needed or wanted, it was, you never questioned it. It was like, okay. And I said, he always had that cap on, always had on his white shirt, always from head to toe. I don't care if he was empty in the garbage can. And on that aqua velvet, with that hat together.
Right there, he had on his shirt and his hat.
Yeah, everybody that knows my dad, that's why. I mean, he had some sharp acting, but
Yep.
Old Faithful is on his head, okay? And so, you know, like I said, it's hard to let him go, but he has good life.
That's good life.
And a lot of
I
other
just
people
want to
in
say
his
one
life.
thing. I have to say, when you mentioned your mom, I'm John's wife. We've been together 36 years, married 17. When I first met your mom, she looked at me, she said, well, I guess you're all right. And then when I saw her like years later, she said, you're all right. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
You made me remember that moment.
But you know, my parents were like opposite. My mother, she would beat the heck out of us. I'm saying, get your own punishment and right at the car. Daddy never. I'm saying, if Daddy said, you know that was wrong. And it's just, he never spanked me in all those years. Okay, I'm saying, he would put Tony, which was my sister, on punishment, but he never put his hands on us to spank us, and he never raised his voice either. And it's like, I guess mommy made up all that. You know, I'm saying, but, you know, it's hard to let him go.
You know why I'm laughing.
But got a lot of knowledge from him.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can pass it on to this little rascal here, grandson.
You will.
You know, but,
You will.
like I said, we went through the good times and the bad times.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, a lot of good neighbors, generations of neighbors that knew y'all from New York, little fellas and little girls. I think he had a good life. He touched a lot of people, you know, a lot of prisoners. Still, you know, we be walking down the street and it's like, hey, Cap. Cap. You know, I'm saying, and it's amazing, you know, you don't remember some of the things that he might have done. And one of our neighbors now said, hey, Miss, I turned around, he talking to me, right? He says, Mr. Brown, he said, when I was on Rikers, he said, I was there for 3 years. He told me why, which I won't say. And he says, but he always helped me. He always spoke to me. And I had the highest respect for him. I'm like, oh, thank God. Because if he didn't, it was like, whoa, this is trouble. You know, but it was nice to know that, you know, he reached out to so many different people in his lifetime, and he was always cool, always debonair, always shared his knowledge and his manners. So,
That's what's missing from
Yeah.
Rikers now.
yeah,
They need that.
he was came from a different generation,
Yes.
but that was his personality.
God
Like I
bless.
said, I never saw my father lose his, I think he lost his temper once. And it was so shocking, his ears turned all red, he had his cap. And he took it, scared my mother and I half to death, it was like, that's not him, but he never raised his voice, he just took care of his business, his family, and he was our rock.
Sounds so much like the Lord.
He had a good life.
Yes, he is.
So we hope, at least I hope that I can follow some of the examples and kind of go off the side road every once in a while, but
Cause he's going, but his spirit is inside.
Down there,
Yes.
you got
Inside
it, you
of
got
that,
it too,
yeah.
dog.
As long as you're all alive, the spirit lives on and on and
I
on.
mess up every once in a while, but I try.
One time, an older person told me that when my mama passed,
Uh-huh.
that her spirit will always be alive. But I'm like, she's going. He said, nope, her spirit, she's going in the bodily form.
Yeah.
But spiritually,
Mm.
wow.
As a matter of fact, my grandson, he's been saying for the last couple of days, all of a sudden, he'll
No,
just turn-
about a week and a half.
about a week and a half, Pop. I'm
That's
like,
deep.
Daddy, I love you, but don't come back.
No, he's been doing that, even in Maryland, he's been doing that for a while. And on top of that, his toys have been making sounds, scared me to death, and I'm just like, I had my little moment, and I said something, I went outside and I was gardening, that's what I was doing. I was gardening, I was playing with my flowers on the deck, and I had my little quiet time, I was talking to him, and I was just like, I hope you hear me. I was just like, last conversation I had to have. Went upstairs, took a shower, and downstairs, one of them little toys got to talking. I was like, hello, and I said, all right, maybe not, and then it happened again. I said, all right, that's it. All right, I heard you, you heard me, that's good. Please don't play with toys no more, and everything. And sure enough, I picked him up from daycare, and he walks in and goes right up to the toy that was talking. It was going, Papa, and I'm like, you know. So I mean, he's gonna be with us, you know, the same way we hold everybody else in our hearts. I know he's not too far and whatnot, but definitely he left the imprint I think, on everybody in this room
Yeah, definitely.
in one way or another. And he definitely will always be in our hearts. Like Mom said, it's hard to let him go, but he's definitely in a better place. Like I said, somewhere at a keno table, having a good old time and whatnot, and he'll be missed. He'll definitely be missed. Try to follow in his example, follow in his steps. Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything? Mom, no. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna make this the halftime show. That's what we had next. Kind of moment of silence. I just want y'all to know that we went through the living room and records and everything else trying to pick out music, and this man liked everything. From Benny King to all kind of stuff. We had Frank Sinatra. What else do we have in there? We had a whole list of stuff.
Arthur Price.
Yeah, we had all kind of albums in there. Oh my gosh, and whatnot. So to be very honest with you, there was a whole lot of music. We'll kind of Pandora that after when we get to the Eastwood, and we can flip through all of that fun stuff. But we did agree one of the most loved CDs that was a favorite, like Christmas music of all things.
Me
But
too.
we said no, we're not gonna do Christmas music at this event. We did pick out a Kenny G song. We said Kenny G, particularly live, Silhouette. And Tonio's actually the one that found it, but particularly this one high note that it just reminded us of him. And no matter what we were doing, Keno, eating, whatever, but he would always just stop and pause every single time Kenny G hit this note. So we said just take a moment of silence as our halftime show for this, and just play part of that song to remember him. So we'll do that now. I don't know if y'all can hear this. Can you hear it?
Yes.
The arrangement, the colors, the vibrant. Very pretty.
That was his note. I'm gonna let that finish, play in the background. But third quarter, we got Tonio. Tonio's probably been the best speaker at the last few of these that we've had in regards to grandma and his mom, my auntie. So Tonio wrote a poem, specific dedication. He said, "You just gonna hand him the mic, let him go." So Tonio, all you. All right.
Antonio's real name is Lawrence, known as
Hold
Tony.
on. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Morning, Antonio. Who felt the heat this morning? It was hot, right?
Very good.
Some of y'all kinda tired, right? I only ask because I just need a little more energy. Please, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. I was a little watery. Popped my contacts in, I took them back out, so I gotta do glasses. He wore glasses, no one said a damn thing, so do the same for me.
So now you can see everybody, right? Hello all.
The first thing I'm gonna do before we get into this is just get into this poem real quick. So you have the program, you can read along. If you have it and you don't, that's cool too. You know when you're ready. Y'all ready?
Ready?
Yes.
You are. Damn, I needed my glasses. This phone is
I know, I'm sorry. You gotta see past King Kong, my bad.
From sunrise to sunset, time itself every day. There's some people you never think would go away. Then comes the time when reality hits, looking up to the sky saying, you shall be missed. In the belly of love, and it ain't always easy to accept the loss to energy so respectful and universally pleasing. But it didn't shrek far when there's so many to embrace it. So worthy of a share, yet so solid you can't replace it. My love for you reaches beyond finding forever. A man cut from a different cloth, but better yet, the finest leather. A man who spoke with grace and sincere tongue spoken well. Hardly raised his voice, with a respectable presence, you don't have to yell. A quiet charisma heard by all who knew him. Walked through many obstacles and came out better. With a king's movement. Thank you for the memories, the lessons to no end. If there's a heaven, you're back with grandma, mommy, your siblings, and so many others again. Daddy, Uncle Iggy, Mr. Cool, Grandpa, Papa, Captain Brown, you'll be missed as one of the world's greatest friends. Now it's your time to remind God about the hearts of men. I love you. I wrote that, and believe it or not, actually I didn't write it, I typed it about 5 minutes last Tuesday. And the reason why I say that is because just like what I'm about to do, I don't think, I just feel. I don't proofread, maybe miss a period here, there. Whatever it is what it is. That's how I felt at that moment. But I knew that that's how I feel at this moment. So, you know, I did one for my mother and I was able to do one again. I hope I don't have to do another one for a very long time. But now that we got into that, I have another question. I need a very sincere answer from everybody, because I need to know this. Who's hungry?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why is because one thing I was thinking about, I don't think about these things, whatever I'm saying, it just comes to mind. And I initially feel like as beat up as I am, I'm not the only one. So when I speak, I have to get my energy out and I'll recuperate. That's what he did. So a lot of people didn't see that part. So a lot of people don't see it with me. But also at the same time, I'd be kind of remiss if I spoke about him and I didn't at least mention my grandmother. I just can't think of one without the other.
That's true.
I can't, and I know a lot of y'all will understand that. And at the same time, knowing my grandmother, we all know she ain't have no filter. No damn filter at all. So I'm very glad that there's no priest in here or pastor or anything like that, because I really didn't feel like apologizing to him in advance. And I got love for a lot of people in this room, if not everybody. I ain't apologizing today. I ain't gonna go crazy, but she ain't apologized.
Don't tell us, don't tell us.
What am I apologizing for? So first off though, the prayer card. Celebrating the life of. See the picture. Some of y'all think Uncle Iggy, Mr. Brown, Larry, Lawrence. So although it may be an error, at the same time it works for me. It was always original, carried his own flag. He's the man. He's so cool. He didn't need a name. You know who he is.
That's right.
He cool. So that's what we gonna roll with. Now at the same time, because Jeannie touched the point, and I was thinking about this a lot too. In all honesty, because quite a few of us seen each other just over a couple of months ago. Honestly, a part of me felt like there was something that he said at my Aunt Spicky's service. Shortly after my grandmother passed, him and I, we kind of talks, fellowship. And I felt good because of somebody who raised me from an embryo. I'm sitting here as a man and we're having conversations. And he's listening to me. It made me feel good. You know, it helped me to get through and to prepare for what was to come, which we didn't know. But it helped him. But we talked. Now he sat, well, he was in his chair and he sat, and not in this room, but in this corner, and said the Aunt Spicky came over and they sat and just sat, watched TV, sat. They didn't talk. If anybody here in this room ever went through something good or bad and somebody just sat with you and didn't have to say anything, it happened to me a couple of times. That's powerful.
Yes.
Times that by him and Aunt Spicky and everything. So a part of me felt like, what can that man be feeling? It was his sister. That was my Aunt Spicky. I made her laugh. That was my claim to fame that made me feel good, but that was his sister. So a part of me is very, very surprised, but then at the same time, should I be? But I think it also gives credence to the strength of a tether when it comes to what is called the 5 Shades of Brown. I may not talk a lot. I see the emails, I stay on top of it. And I don't care if it's you and you, and y'all have something to hear me, or a bunch of people. Whether I'm there or not, love is love. I don't have to be right there to appreciate it. He showed me that. A lot of things that I would find out, he would tell me. You know, Keith had something, or Cheryl came by, or guess who came by? Carl and Sydney, and Cheryl's doing great, and you know. But tell me, Cheryl's doing great. You know, so I would know what's going on, but I never ran and said, Uncle Iggy talk. Just wasn't us. But that's how he expressed it. He wouldn't tell your business, but if you were good, he gonna let the world know. If he felt that you were somebody worth knowing, and he would say it. Now, just the flip side on my grandmother. See, y'all laughing already. She did it too, but on a grand scale. Sometimes you wanted to know a little something, you came out and knew everything.
For sure.
What you and Mary talking about? But at the same time, you know, talking about, and it's funny that some things that were mentioned this morning, you know, I was told about the whole the car rolling in the ditch thing. It's like, what? Something, they walked away from that. You know, and I read stories, I've seen YouTube and things, and people don't walk away from less than that. Like, I hit a tree in the air on an incline, and he said, boy, what in the world? I'm fine. I'm glad you're fine, but what in the world was wrong with you? I said, I'm trying to outdo you. You rolled into a ditch, you know, but in all honesty, it would take maybe me about maybe 3 months to live out one of their years, you know. Thinking about on Spicky, I had to laugh. My grandmother told me, if anybody was there, please back this up. And they was in Cali on Spicky, so I know Uncle Jackson had to be there. She was there, so Daddy was there, some other people. And, you know, they're at a party, and she says, hey, Spick! Spicky! Spick! Come here, Spick! In the big-ass room full of Mexicans. And laughed about it when she told me. What are we in 2023? Wow. Try that now, come back. I want to see something. I'll wait. Okay. And I mean, so many memories. The one thing that is carrying me right here is the fact that, one, you guys are very lively this time. They're very talkative. So that one's going to help me a lot. Two, a lot of people say, think of the good times. Think of the good times. Think of the good times. It sounds great at first, but you know, you're like, hey, I'm hurt. It's not that easy. For me, it didn't start with my grandmother. It started with some friends, but it led up to my grandmother, and then by the time my mother, you know, I pulled through that. And for those that were there for that one, thank you, because you guys were a big help. By the time we come here, I can't think about him without thinking about my grandmother, my mother. And in order for me to think at all I could do was think about the funny times, because there were so many. I mean, so many. There were times where I would sit down with him and, you know, remind him on a few things to make sure he remembers. You know, when you were a kid, and everybody knows, I mean, heck, when I was a kid, I look up to this, follow him everywhere, where he went, except to work and stuff, because I couldn't chase the car. But speaking of the car, you know, you're a kid, you want to imitate what your parents do, or anybody you look up to. You know, whatever they doing, you want to do it. You don't know the end result, you just know you want to do it. So, I loved the winter time as a kid. Go outside with David, you know, me and Wayne and Frankie and everything. You know, so, says, hey! I don't remember the details, I was 5 years old before common sense really kicked in, which still hasn't fully ignited, but, you know, he says, hey, come help me shovel. So I'm proud, get the shovel ready. We're shoveling. Got my little shovel. So now, it's at the back of the car. And he had a silver car. It was way before the Dynasty, if anybody remembers. I don't remember the make, but it was a silver car coming along. And there's the ice scraper. And he's doing the window. So little me, and he had some ice on the trunk. So I get the shovel. And this is back in the day. You got the metal shovels, you know. And there I go. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. That's how it sounded too. I'm not just me. Whoosh. And I felt proud. And you see the paint coming up with the ice, but I'm thinking it's the ice, and you know he's right behind me. You know, just shoveling. Little damn fool behind him, just whoosh, whoosh. He turned around, and yeah, he never had to yell. There was no point in him yelling that time. It was done. But he turned around. He Wah! Maybe a little common sense did kick in, because I knew right there, turn around and run my ass in the house. I was probably like maybe that tall, so about maybe 10 of my steps is 2 of his. Somehow I outran his ass, and I opened the door up, and my mother's right there, and I guess like I ducked when he dodged, and he reached this way, I went that way, that ice was still on him, and he slipped and he fell. I turned back, I saw him fall. I mean, even as a kid, I knew a little tact. I knew right then not to laugh. But my grandmother, oh my Lord, she was slapping her knee and everything, so I knew I was like, whoa, what happened? That damn boy. You know, and then he said, you know, after, you know, he told me what happened. I felt horrible. I didn't, you know. even now, because I mean, I couldn't imagine the cost. But, you know, he sat me down later and, you know, he said, you know, I'm sorry. And I think he was apologizing for what he was going to do, you know, and, you know, we were fine after that, you know, but it's little things like that, you know, I'll bring it up to him and we can laugh. And I'm glad that I remembered it and he remembered it. Beatings, talking about that. And, you know, they're talking about how, you know, you getting beaten. Yeah, well, we all know about my grandmother. Do I really need to go there? Okay, my mother came in at a close second. But him, those were the worst beatings. Those were the worst. Why? It's the classic case. When he stepped in, I knew I screwed up there. I knew. There was just no way around. No way. And he would, you know, like my grandmother, she would beat your ass. So I only had like 2 minutes maybe to prepare because she's trying to figure out the method and everything. My mother was kind of like unexpected with it, you know, and everything. So, but him, he'd come in, you know, beat you in a minute. Sit right there. Damn, you know, I can't prepare, I can't do anything. I gotta sit there and take it, you know, and then here come my grandmother, come in the room. No, Mary, leave him alone. He told me to sit because I want to get up and run, but he said sit. So he come in.
Excuse me 1 minute. Is the blue Toyota license number BCG2301? Anyone here? If so, your car is blocking one of the hearses coming out. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right, all right, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Antonio. I have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back.
Thanks for sharing.
So, yeah,
What, I gotta pee?
That's
our family.
can't make it up. Good thing you told
I was so yeah, like, I don't know if I can top that one. I don't know. I'm thinking. But
Change everything.
yeah, so so anyway, so like I said, those beatings were the worst because he, you know, he had suspense, and I mean, you know, yeah, this man would wear a suit, come home, and then put on a blazer and I mean, not a tie, a shirt and everything, but he would pick, you still sitting there? All right. Come in, you know, take your pants down. Now, we're all older here, so we all know what that means. You know, for any of the couple of younger people here, yeah, that's what happened when you was going to get your ass kicked.
Spanking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, take your pants down. Underwear too. No. Okay. And I mean, he would just, you were bad. You were bad. Look at me. I'm so disappointed in you. That's what did it.
That hurt.
That's the one that hurts. Because my grandmother, my mother, I mean, they made, yeah, most of the time, you know, they were justified with it. But all that did was just help with fights in the neighborhood. It's smart. I mean, Wayne would have fights and everything like that and just go for days and days and days, you know. Because we had a high tolerance for pain. Frankie and we had a high tolerance for pain. Thank you guys. You know. But when it came to my grandfather, I mean, that hit you in the feels. And he only did it when, if he couldn't conjure up a story for me, then he stepped in. And then, well, Be good for like 6 months. You know. But even now beyond that, another thing that I will say, and I think I learned this on my own, but you know, with my grandparents helped tremendously. Miss Martin, for example, not to, well, I wouldn't say call you out and put you on the spot, but this is Miss Martin, Miss Alita Martin, and she literally knew me before I even knew myself. I mean, before I even knew my name, okay? Me and her son. You know, you could say we like brothers because, you know, it's a lack of the DNA. But there's no way that I could think about Gunther Avenue and, you know, not think about Miss Martin. Miss Martin helped my grandmother tremendously, you know, tremendously. I never forget, make it a little emotional on this one, if anything, and I'm all right. And I don't talk about this often, but I think I can make this public. Shortly before my grandmother passed, I'm there with her at the hospital, and she has the oxygen on, and she was there, but she couldn't really say full sentences, you know. We're holding hands. Miss Martin comes in and, you know, says a prayer. And I'll never forget this. You know, something you said a few words, and then you said, you know, God loves us. And my grandmother says, with this oxygen on it, please, if I'm wrong, tell me right now, and it wasn't my imagination, my grandmother says, as clear as day, God loves us all. And I thought about it later, and it made me think that to be in the condition my grandmother was in, and to say that, regardless of how I would think or feel, you know, that put something in me, and that gave me more respect for my grandmother, my grandfather, to be aligned to somebody so strong, and you had to be strong to be with my grandmother, so that's a big testament to him. But at the same time, that could not have happened if it wasn't for Miss Martin. And it wasn't like this was just some woman that just met her off the street. That was history. Miss Martin did a lot of things that, I put it right up there, that did many things for people she didn't have to do, and has a very kind heart. And I always, you know, appreciated you for that. So, thank you. And I honestly,
Thank you.
you know, I honestly do not believe in neighbors. That's me. You grow with people sometimes, and then you, I think, achieve a certain level of camaraderie or cohesiveness. To me, family is what you make it. So another case in point, right behind me, we have the Burrises. All right, Darian Burris, Miss Glenda Burris. Okay, plenty of history. You know, me and Darian, he's still trying to convince me of how we met each other. Evidently, I pushed him into a hook in kindergarten, and he hooked off on me. Okay, maybe, I don't remember, but I like the story, so we go with that. You know, been in and out the house, Miss Burris, and you know, my grandfather, you know, thick as thieves and everything, so that's a bona fide history. I can't call that just classmates and neighbors, you know. Who here can sit here or stand here and say, I was just a neighbor? I think you feel kind of messed up. And then Mr. Williams in the back in the corner, you know, same thing like I said, you know, me and Frankie fighting and hanging out and everything, you know, tough, you know, but that was Gunther Avenue, you know. How can I just say that was my neighbor, you know? There are two reasons why I like the Yankees. My grandfather and Mr. Williams used to take me, Frankie, we're going to go see the Yankees. And oh man, if he won, woo, that was the best days, you know, still appreciated. So I highlight these things because I can talk about, I can say something everybody. Right? But these are the people that helped me to develop, you know, the history. And there were people that, you know, I met growing up, being around so many grown people. My grandmother would tell me, just saying, oh, that guy Alan, yeah, you know, the one you like, and he told you that, yeah, he used to be a pimp. What? You know, but if you were cool, you were cool. You know, you respected him, he respected you. If he welcomed you in the house, you were somebody. You know, you were somebody. He didn't judge in that sense, you know. And, you know, so I think that's where I get it from. Where there's a little discernment, you know. Not with myself, but at least with everybody else. But, you know, I get that from him. You know, and from my grandmother as well. You know, there are some days nowadays, you know, where I can even just be thinking something. I can hear my grandmother What the fuck are you doing? Damn. Fool. You know, and then, you know, I get right, you know. So, you know, even my mother, you know, she has, if anybody knows, she had a trademark, you know, I'm getting ready to think and do something stupid, you know. Uh-huh. Like, you know what? Now I'm a chill. You know. Now, you know, when I have thoughts, I'm, you know, just gonna think about him, you know. What are you doing? Are you all right? You know. But I also have days where, you know, I can hear my grandmother. Hot damn! I did something good that day. You know, or my mother again. Uh-huh. Did something good that day. Everybody knows what I'm about to say with my grandfather. I do something good, I'm trying to hear right-o. Right-o. If you talk to him on the phone, you heard right-o. I don't know why I didn't put it in the poem, but like I said, once I write something out, that's it. You know. But again, I mean, there's nothing I can really tell you guys that you don't know about him. I don't. He didn't have to yell. You know. Fun fact. All right. Now, from what I know, he didn't curse a lot. I didn't hear him curse a lot. I heard him say the F word one time. Y'all want to take a guess who he said it to? I'll give y'all 2 guesses. Y'all gonna get the first one wrong. Nah, take a guess. Just
Grandma.
No.
You.
Yes.
I was gonna say you.
And I'll say the story because, you know, we're all family here, and, you know, young Reese isn't going to be able to articulate what I'm saying right now, so.
Yes, he will in a little while.
Well, let me talk loud enough so he can hear me.
Right.
So, and Wayne was there. We was partying at 241st Street. I remember if I was 14, 15, having a good time. It's the summertime. Yeah, having fun. It was a nice party. A nice party, you know, no craziness, no nothing. Having fun, you know. As teenagers, sometimes we do genuinely lose track of time. We don't always be lying. Why was you so late? I lost track of time. All right? And I'm young and sober. I was in my 20s and kind of messed up. Well, I lost track of time. All right. But when I'm younger and I'm sober, it's a problem, right? So anyway, in the summertime. Anyway, I don't remember what time we got in. So, I'm feeling good about that party. It was so fun, though. I mean, you know, when you come home and you feel good about the party, well, yeah, I don't really care if I get in trouble.
Okay, no party.
Yeah, well, those are for the people that never met my grandmother. So,
Right.
now come in. I remember Wayne was next to me, and then, you know, boy, get your effing ass in here. I look, Wayne's gone. So, you know, I come in and, you know, she said, why were you so late? And I genuinely did want to call, you know. This was before the payphones, you know. I mean, not the payphones, the cell phones, you know. So, you know, when we go to the payphone, you know, but, the party was fun. So I didn't want to leave and, you know, just didn't. You know, the right song was on, the right mood, I just didn't want to, you know. And I was honest. I said, let me just be honest. I didn't want to walk to the payphone, it was too far, and then you have to throw something in. It was by 241st, and those people are dangerous. I don't know if it worked, but, you know, she says, how in the world can I phrase this to be respectful towards everybody, but they'll get the gist of it, but still keep it in, okay. My grandmother says, and my grandfather's right there, he hasn't said a word yet. And now y'all know my grandmother at times used to say things that would just make you kind of like bust out laughing. You know, you just have to walk over. You know, she could say something kind of raunchy out of nowhere. So, you know, my grandmother look at me, boy. And I look, she's right here. So I kind of knew by then, like, you know, if she was getting ready to like, do nothing. She says, I don't care if you had your private part of some woman's rear end private part. Y'all know my grandmother, y'all translated. Now, I'm doing everything I cannot to laugh. Okay, and I'm saying, is she saying this to make me laugh? Or, because, you know, she's very imaginative when it came to things. But it was like, this man, he says, look at me. I'm thinking he's going to say, go upstairs and don't Don't do it again. The next time y'all ever ask, better call this damn house. Me and my grandmother look at each other. That was only one time I ever said, yes, sir. I mean, I went upstairs, that stayed with me for like a week, and we talked about it the next day. Wait till he went to work. She waited until he went to work. She said, can you believe what he said? Mom, she said, can you believe what I said? I said, oh yeah, I can. I said, but that one, you know, that one was the stuff of legends. That was the only time. Now, did he ever say to my grandmother? No, not at all. But yeah, so I mean, I wish I'd have thought about some things to say beforehand now, because it really dawned on me that you guys, a lot of you guys, most of you guys have such a rich history that, you know, you can tell me. I can only tell you about things that maybe y'all haven't seen, but like I said it, you know. I think for me, it would take me a good month, you know, if I quit my job and took all that time to replicate their days and stuff like that, I still wouldn't have enough time. I'm talking about fun, okay? I'm 44 years old, okay? The one who just got up went to the bathroom, 22 years old, 44 years old. The man passed away at 91. If I had until 91 to replicate, I could not do it. They came from an era where less was more. Okay? Less was more. I started seeing that over the years. It took my grandmother for me to really realize it, where one thing he did say is that one thing he missed is sitting and talking with her. And they would talk about everything, you know, under the sun. I would sit down sometimes with her and just listen to her, you know. Those were the little things. Now, if you don't want to talk to somebody for a second, you're on the phone, you could do it. Sometimes we just get caught up in our own lives because there's so much that can come with it now, you know. They didn't have that. They had each other, you know. I mean each other. I can take a trip and take 10,000 pictures, post them on Facebook, show them to everybody, take a look, take a look. They take trips and told us about it, and you can picture it. Now that's saying something, you know. I can take a trip or something adventurous, and I may remember it for a little while, unless a near-death experience has happened, and it was kind of like exciting or something like that, what I'm telling people. But anybody else like to?
I was gonna say, long-winded.
You know, let me apologize right now, because when I asked if y'all were hungry, I should have asked if anybody had to really die. Well, since Carver's here, yes, you do. He's not here, yes, you do. But, yeah, and I don't want to just stand here and drone on, but there were two things that I said I was going to accomplish before I walked away from this podium. One, if I can help bring a little bit of joy, no, that's all right. If I can help bring a little joy to it, because yeah, I'm broken. I am broken up. I've been putting up the best front for like a week because I still have to work, still have to get up in the morning, still have people I have to acknowledge. And everybody's going through something, everybody. So the way I feel is when it comes to sympathy, as much as I receive it, and when I say this, don't take this the wrong way, I'm not a big fan of sympathy. I take it and I appreciate it, but then it's an incentive to give it to somebody else. I got a little cut from his level in that respect. And speaking of that, one day we had a talk, and you know, I said, yeah, I'll never be able to fill your shoes. And he said, yeah, you can. I said, no, I can't. I said, you come from a different era, a different time, a different set of principles, a different way of thinking. Not to take anything away from me, but as I said, less was more. I can talk on history that he's lived, but only he can talk on the history that he's lived. I can talk about my grandmother, and I have no choice because she's not here to talk about herself, but many of y'all have talked to her. My mother, my Uncle James, Okay, my Uncle James. All right, I figure if I mention his name, somebody will. My Uncle James. You know, not a day literally goes by and I don't think about that man. But again, Uncle James, Aunt Irene, Uncle George, Uncle Noble. I spoke with little Noble last night. I spoke with Reggie last night, that Noble. Uncles, aunts. This is not about the fact that it was beaten into my head and I was raised like this. No, if you were an uncle, you're an uncle. If you're an aunt, you're a cousin, you're a cousin. Blood and relation be damned. That's how I feel. Okay. You could not have me as a kid running downstairs into the basement sneaking when they used to have them parties and everything like that. Okay, or playing pinochle in the kitchen and I'm smelling rum and coke and all that stuff. Nobody had no mind to tell me, well, that's family, that's not family. All I seen was people in jubilation and everything like that. Never saw drama. And if I did, well, they handled it well, or it turned out to be funny as heck. Okay. All right. Just to mention my Uncle James real quick, just because my mother always loved telling me this story, that one day he had brought a nice woman over, and this was back in the day where they had the alligator cracker. And my grandparents were there, my mother obviously, you said you had to be there, and you know, looking at cracker, and then Uncle James's friend says, they need to put another alligator in there so they could, F word. They think it's funny my Uncle James kicked out. But I mean, hey, those are the kind of, those are the kind of things that, stories that they were able to tell. I could tell so many stories and we could laugh, but
We're hungry.
yeah, I understand. Oh, and speaking of that, I wanted to say this, and I had you in mind. One thing I was definitely going to say was that I'm not one of those people that will say, because somebody passed away with family, we got to stick together. No. What I will say is that anybody that you have love and respect and admiration for, hey, keep showing it.
Sure.
Keep showing it. Okay? That's like I said. If you guys are hanging out, and you guys are hanging out somewhere, and you guys in the back somewhere else, it's three different situations, but if everybody's having fun, I'm rooting for all three. I don't have to be the DJ to offer my positive notes. Okay? I don't have to. But I was thinking about this. I said I especially can't be one of those people that say family gotta stick together, because on more than one occasion you have said, come up so we can eat, and you can teach Claude how to cook.
Still waiting and still trying to teach him.
So what I say is that when it comes to this, some doors have opened up for me. And when I say this, I don't mean them as just being brand new. That's a door. We've talked. That's a door. And I've never had a problem with a closed door. I don't. I just didn't come to the door. And it's not, you understand.
I got it.
There are some.
But you still need to cook for me.
Oh, I know. I will.
Okay.
Well, only as you can see, I'm only getting better. So. Oh, here's another fun fact about my cooking. For everybody, well, for those that have tasted my cooking and seen it. Honestly, he's the one that really got me going. When my grandmother got sick some years ago, my mother told me, I was cooking at the time, turned off the pots and everything in my apartment, went over to him, make sure he's all right. Forgot I left food and stuff for like over a month. But one thing I made, and I wasn't good at this point, not like that, but I made coconut shrimp and a cheeseburger pie. There was a box of Bisquick in the refrigerator, and I saw a recipe for cheeseburger pie. I said, well, heck, let me make that. Long story short, he was on the phone, I don't know who he called, and telling people about this. That got him excited. I was doing that to get his mind off of my grandmother for a second, because I didn't know what else to do in the meantime. So I said, well, let me just try to cook something for him. And I guess from there, that's where it, saw him, get better. But we're about to close out, but I will say this. There are some other doors that have opened up. So at the end of the day, to me, family is like life and effort, motivation. It's what you make of it. It's what you make of it, who you make it with. And there will be forks in the roads, there'll be obstacles, there'll be friends and lovers, and there'll be enemies each and every day. But that man there has had so many days. 91 years old. And how strong this man was, fighting an infection or a sickness without getting into detail, for over 2 years. Let it sink in for a second. For over 2 years. Many people have seen him within that 2 years, and you not know it. There's times I ain't even know it. And I watch him. It's not like he was just hiding. That's just him. Walked with grace, acquired charisma. He was cut from a different leather. He was soft. He was very smooth. Always looked good. Always right. Always clean. He represented an era that isn't here as much anymore, but he also left a lot of potential. He left a lot of potential, and that's up to me. That's up to her. That's up to little Reese. You know, but he gave some tools. I'm learning to use the shoe polish. I'll never feel the shoes, but I'm learning to use the shoe polish. So, you know, without just going into it anymore, because I know some people are getting very hungry. People are giving me the side eye right now, as much as they love Mr. Brown. They're like, all right, dude, you made your point. You got it. You had us since the poem. We will see your ass over at the Eastwood. I'm not talking to me to y'all. That's what y'all saying about me right now. All right. Oh, just want to say another thing real quick. First of all, everybody here is somebody. Everybody. All right. And I appreciate everybody that is here. But there was somebody that I did think about this morning, and he came in not too long ago. When my mother passed away, actually the first person that reached out, and it's not a race at all, but the first one, I guess, who was able to get to me was Donald. You know, the other side of the world, you know. And then I seen him at on Speakers, you know, and then see him here. I don't know why, I just, you know, appreciated that. When the word of my grandfather, you know, and everything, Prince hit me up, and, you know, just gave a little bit of history, you know, and I just appreciate it. So, you know, when you actually build, we don't build every day, but we do when we have to, you know. We'll link when we have to. We link when we have to. And not always things like this. That's all I would just say. Not just things like this. But, you know, with all that said, I personally appreciate you guys. Thank you for tolerating me today. And once again, please be honest. How did I do?
You did great.
Don't put money into yourselves later on. You know? I'm hungry, you know, so you used to
Look, we gave you the whole quarter. We gave you third quarter.
All right.
That
I know
was
some
you.
people thinking like I was at the Eastwood before. Damn, I love this too, but damn, I hope they serving that fish again because I am hungry. So, all right, we closing this out, but I just want to say, you know, Mr. B, Mr. Cool, Mr. Brown, Daddy, Captain Brown. I know I'm leaving out some other things, but you know, we love you.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
on.
Yes. Well loved.
Give our love to everybody, and I'll see you. I'll be seeing you soon. All right? And I'll be hoping that the Yankees win the World Series. Watch them win next year.
Yeah, that was his favorite team. Yeah.
Watch the Yankees and the damn Knicks win next year, and I'll be the most happiest person in the world.
I don't know about the
Wait
Knicks,
until-
but
You know, but I guess we're coming to the fourth quarter closing, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. B.
That was it. I mean,
Yes, yes.
I said,
Thank you, Tonio.
thank you, Tonio.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Tony.
So I said, we gave you a whole third quarter.
Yes. Yes.
Fourth quarter,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Just thank you for everything. Everybody, obviously, we all feel it and whatnot, but Mom especially, you know, she gets in her own little bubble, but there's phone calls and text messages and everybody just wanting to do something because we all love Uncle Iggy and
Yeah.
wanted to be there for us. And really, 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 really appreciate it. Ms. Martin, all the rice and peas that you made for our family over the years. Oh yeah, that's what I said. I may not remember you, but I know you're cooking. That's for sure. I'm like, I show up and I was like, Miss Martin was by. Look at that. All right, you know, and everything. Like I think
So now I'm gonna get up and
everybody
go.
has. We all take care
I'll
of
be
each
outside.
other, but especially, like I said, neighbors that just look out. Hey, we haven't seen Mr. Brown in a couple of days. You stalked mom to death and everything. We ain't seen you. What's going on? Everybody in here and whatnot. My second mom that I haven't seen in years, my best friend's mom came and everything, just because y'all love us and y'all love Mr. Brown. So we wanted to thank you and say, come on and let's go for the post-game show over at the Eastwood. Get us some food now, especially because you know he'd be the first one in line ready to eat. So that's it.
That's a fact.
That is all, and thank you again, and we'll see y'all over there if you need directions. I think it's on, yeah, I think we put it on the program and whatnot, so we'll see you over there in a little bit. And that's it, thanks. They may not be. You might. You were good, baby doll.
That's how I see you. That's how I see you. That's my niece.
Everybody about to come today. That's all I'm hearing. I'll make sure before we go, I'll make sure.
That was in her bag. The bag you gave her, that fits like you know, she's like, it You know, to the counter
I got a video. I gave, I had to watch it again.
What's the cross block?
How you doing?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can get over there. We have
All right, now.
You gonna come eat?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you got it. Y'all coming over? Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna tuck you back. Y'all come eat though, right? I got right there. How you doing? She was like, Mommy, I'm ready. That's what I was gonna say, yeah. And then me and y'all, we have time.
They told me I had a lot more.
That's probably what it is. You had hair last time I met you fixed up. I have hair this time. You need to carry I said, it's okay. Did it record that? No.
Money away.
Laura.
Y'all got it like that?
Laura.
Oh, it's Laura?
What's that?
A dime.
Oh, Dad must have went outside.
Say the one and only.
Yes, because the last time I was here, she didn't have no baby. It's been a while since I've seen her.
How you been?
Okay, how are you? I didn't see you since the last time. The last time we were at your sister's house. At Laura's house, and had you that long ago, Michael. That's my wife, Cheryl. Michael, that's son.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Sure
yeah.
did.
Man,
Yeah.
you look good. Yeah. And I'm short now. Compared to the new generation. I got you. Hey, Michael, you look good, my man. Are you going over to the place? Oh, no. I got you. Yeah, I got you. You came by yourself? No, I came with my wife. I like that. Yeah. She just went to work. One call with the lady. We ain't moving until she get back. How you doing? Doing okay, man. Need to drop some weight, but other medical problems and stuff. We all have. No, I saw you with Ellen. Remember? I saw you at the hospital with Ellen. That was after that, right? That was after. Right, that's when I saw you. I was going to see your sister. And then you were there, and I was happy to see you. Yeah, that was me. I remember you ain't too bad, but I might go with you, Bob. I might ride with you guys. Okay, well, you're dismissed.
Hey, Johnny, watch my papa. They make the car that you found us for them.
You're right about
Oh, okay.
Well, you're not
Larry, I didn't even know I didn't see you.
Yeah, she been at
You probably, I thought that was Paul.
Everybody in my family is what we were. That's what my grandparents.
They're just gonna throw me in the garbage. You know what I mean? It's just throw me in the garbage. I mean, you see, like a roll. Oh, well, yeah. A single flower, you want to go past that. You take 8 flowers. But they going right in the garbage.
Yeah, how you feel
getting all
Yeah,
that.
no.
I go to the
Cemetery,
cemetery.
put on your top, you're right.
Yeah,
But it'd be
yeah,
cremated.
I was making sure, Donna, you always take all out.
Right, that's nice.
To
Cool. Right.
They didn't think about that at the time.
Well,
I had a lot of
yeah.
experience with that in my family.
Yeah.
And you know, you always learn. My family told me to feel special.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I'm
do
always
it.
in everybody. Yeah. And I'm hungry too.
Ain't in somebody. You gonna do
Yes,
this.
yes. Here's the other one.
Oh.
Now he said that
Now let me see what was for that.
No, we got this. We got it.
They should put the deck of cards
you
with
know
it.
you can take some home.
We got this.
You know, I got a video
You can pick them up.
of us.
No, we got this. We're taking some.
I gotta show you.
No. We already take the whole thing. So we gotta put
I think I had probably did.
We gotta put this out.
This is see now.
Yeah, I think I remember.
If you don't tell, I won't tell. This is my white show.
Hi, how are you?
You remember? I mean, it don't know.
We're working on it. Some of it.
That's a camera enough to get.
Yeah.
I still remember. I still remember.